Hey everyone, we're Jeff and Sarah and we're adults in Disney, and this is our first vlog from home, and we're calling it our How We Disney vlog series, where we talk about what our favorite international parks are, how we plan these trips, how we decide which parks to go to and when, and some things about maybe the Disney parks here in the US as well. And we're just kind of do this each week, and the topics will kind of develop as we go along.
Yeah, so we're really excited to kind of give this all a try. Hope you all like it. Just a little bit of information about us. So we are a married couple. How often do you think we go to Disney?
We probably go to Disney every 3 weeks, I would say. We're in a Disney park somewhere.
Yeah, and we have been to all of the Disney parks in the world, so that's kind of where we're going to start with our How We Disney, because probably one of the questions we get most common is which one's our favorite. And so today we're going to rank our favorite Disney resorts. So we'll go through all of them. We're going to focus on resorts. So what we mean by resorts are Disney locations. So not individual parks. So we're not putting Magic Kingdom against Animal Kingdom. Maybe we'll save that for a different video if you all are interested. But we're going to go, of the 6 locations, we're each going to rank them. And I think we'll be the same, but I don't know for sure. So we'll see.
Yeah, so let's start with our 6th favorite, and
Okay.
we didn't talk about these beforehand, so they're probably going to be pretty similar, but I don't know if they'll be exact, and I guess, do you want to go first? What's your least favorite Disney park that you've been to, or Disney resort?
So my least favorite resort is really close between 5 and 6, so I won't spoil what 5 is, but 6 for me is Hong Kong Disneyland. And we recently went to this one, so it's a very kind of fresh memory, and it was an awesome experience. But for me, it's last for a couple of reasons. So it's last because there's only one park, so a lot of the other Disney resorts have multiple theme parks in the locations, and this one feels very similar to a lot of the other Disney resorts. So it does have some unique rides, so I love Mystic Manor. The Grizzly Run ride was really good. But I think the feel of it is very similar to other ones. So for me, if it's just a single park, still really fun, but it has a similar feel.
Yeah, I think I actually do agree. It's probably my least favorite. I think that it hurts that it's a single park. So since we are ranking resorts, right, there's other places have multiple parks to do. They have bigger areas of things that you can fill out your time with here. It is a small park. It is just the one. Yes, it is a very Disney park. I mean, you definitely get that Main Street feel when you walk in and everything, which is fun. But it is small. It is just the one park. I think if you really worked hard, you could probably do the full park in a day. And then there's only 3 resorts, which doesn't take up a ton of time, especially because they're all right next to each other. So it is an awesome park. I don't encourage anybody to skip this one by any means. It's just that in terms of, I guess, the overall offering, to me, it probably has the least going on.
Yeah, I agree. And when you said 3 resorts, you mean like 3 hotels?
Yeah, there's 3 hotels there.
So I would say that some of the benefits and things that made it a close call for me is I actually really liked all 3 resorts. So they have a Disneyland hotel, which is similar to the others. They have an Explorer's Lodge, and they have a Hollywood hotel. So having those as kind of an additional thing to explore for me, what made it a little bit closer to my number 5 option, because I think the resorts there actually do add a lot of kind of fun to it. But I think still, even with that aspect, it for me is still my last.
Yeah, I agree. I think of the 6, it's probably my lowest one.
Yeah, what's your favorite thing about Hong Kong Disneyland? So even though it's the last, it doesn't mean skip it. Do you have a favorite thing?
Just their Main Street. It is such a small, quaint little Main Street that will remind you of what you probably think of for Disneyland, that when you walk in there, it's pretty awesome. And definitely the backdrop as you're looking down Main Street at the castle, it's the only park that has mountains in the background. So just where it's geographically located, there's some beautiful mountains in the background that make it a really cool view.
Yeah, when we were there, unfortunately, the castle was under construction. So I think when that's done, that'll be really cool. They do have some really other great rides. So like Mystic Manor was really fun. We rode that a bunch of times, and Grizzly Run. So it definitely does have its charm, but I'd say like the Lion King show is very similar to Disney World. A lot of the other rides, like they have Pooh, which is identical to Disney World. So it's still a really fun park, but I'd say it has a lot more that's similar to other Disney parks.
Yeah, I
So.
agree.
All right, well, that's our number 6. All right, since I went first for number 6, I'll let you go for number 5.
All right,
What's your number 5?
For number 5, it's going to be Shanghai for me. Shanghai is my second least favorite park. And again, it does only have one park, but this park is huge. There is a ton to do. This park, unlike Hong Kong, is incredibly immense. It is overwhelming how big this place is. Hong Kong was tiny and quaint and had this cute little Disney feel to it. This one does not. This one is just massive. I don't even think pictures can convey how big this castle is. But I almost think that it's possibly too big. So it doesn't really have as much of a Disney feel to it. I think that's partly because of where it's located, and I guess Main Street type of thing isn't a thing in Chinese culture as much. So you walk in, it's a very short Main Street. It's not even called Main Street USA or Main Street at all. The walkways are huge. All the rides are just giant and oversized, and they're really fun rides. I mean, two of my favorite attractions in all the world are there. I really love the Pirates ride, and they have something called the Adventure Trails, which is unbelievably unique. So there's a lot to do there, and it is a ton of fun, but I think just the size of it kind of takes away from some of that Disney feel that you really, I think, experience when you go into some of the other parks.
Yeah, so it is also my number 5. I think I struggled really hard between my 5 and 6 because for me, Hong Kong and Shanghai are very close to each other since they are both the two locations that only have one park. For me, I actually like the fact that it's huge. So their castle is just immense. I liked having like the walkways, like walking between lands really felt very separated out. So I actually think for me, that's a benefit. So we agree on the park, disagree maybe on the reasoning for it. But I agree that Pirates and the Challenge Trails are amazing, like easily in my top Disney rides and experiences.
So the Challenge Trails have 3 rails, as you can see up here. One is easy, one is medium, and one is hard. They are quite challenging if you do the hard ones, but you get to pick and you can kind of change by each obstacle. So overall there are 3 courses you can choose from, and each of those courses has the easy, medium, and hard. So it is a lot of fun, it's unique, it's something unlike any other Disney experience we've ever had, and we loved it. We're gonna go do it again here in just a minute and check out one of the other trails.
I actually really enjoyed the snacks there a lot. So Hong Kong had some pretty unique snacks. I typically didn't care for them as much. So we did have on our vlog, we were vlogging when we were there in Hong Kong, and Jeff kind of tricked me and I ate squid jerky in Hong Kong. That was not good.
All right, it's Sarah's turn to try the squid jerky.
So as a disclaimer, I normally don't like seafood. So I'm a little bit nervous. I don't like it. I don't like it. No.
I know, I was just kidding when I said it doesn't taste like anything. It tastes awful. I just wanted to make sure Sarah ate it. It's very squiddy and very seafoody. I don't recommend it except for the experience.
I need to go spit it out. In contrast, in Shanghai, I think all of the snacks were really good. Do you have a snack in Shanghai that stood out, or?
No, not a particular snack, but I did love they had some cherry popcorn, and then some of their ice creams were really good. And I have to say, one thing that we went into Shanghai being told was that their food was a little bit adventurous, and we probably wouldn't enjoy it that much, but I did not find that to be the case at all. I actually enjoyed the majority of the food I ate in Shanghai, so that was a pleasant surprise.
Yeah, I completely agree. The ice cream, like, that was a really good point. They had a mini ice cream. So it is very good. I think it's strawberry, but I really like it. I think I actually like this more than the regular Mickey bar, which was strawberry. That was amazing. There was this one place that was called Remy's, and they had really, really good, like, pastries and that type of stuff. So yeah, I was very hesitant about the food there at first. I generally like trying new stuff, but they had a bunch of really good items. They had a cheese flavored ice cream that I think was probably my favorite thing I ate the whole trip. You hated it, I know.
Yeah.
But it was really good. It was like cheese whiz ice cream, which sounds really weird, but I loved it. So it was really fun.
Yeah, I mean, there are a ton of benefits to going there. I did love the hotel. We stayed at the Disneyland Hotel, and it's maybe, what do you think, a 10-minute walk to the parks, or you can take a quick little boat across the body of water there, and that maybe is 5 minutes. We got to ride Tron before it comes here to the Walt Disney World, so that was pretty awesome. I think they have an awesome daytime parade.
Yes.
So, I mean, I prefer nighttime parades, but for daytime ones, this was an awesome parade with so many characters, and it just kept going on and on forever. So there is a ton to do there. It is a huge park, and I think it's a really well done park. It's just, to me, it didn't quite have the same Disney feel as any of the other Disney parks I've been to.
Yeah, and before we move on to number 4, I think you brought up a really good point that, like other parks in Disney, you can't just walk to the parks. But Hong Kong and Shanghai, again, they're kind of smaller resorts, and so the walking aspect's a huge benefit for them.
Yeah.
I think obviously they get a ding against them because they each only have one theme park to visit, so you can't go for maybe quite as long. But I think the hotels, I like the hotels more in Hong Kong Disney than I did in Shanghai, just for having more to explore, I guess. They only had 2 hotels in Shanghai, and we actually didn't even go over to the Toy Story hotel. We just stuck with ours.
So in Hong Kong, the hotels were very close together. In Shanghai, they're spread out. You can't really conveniently get in between the two. You have to make a point to do it.
Yeah.
So that was why we only explored the one we were staying at.
Yeah. So, but we agree so far. I'm guessing we're gonna agree for the rest of them. I figured if we were gonna disagree, it was gonna be here.
All right. Well, what's number 4?
So number 4 for me is going to be Paris. So of the ones that remain, they all have more than one theme park. So now for me, we're at like our 2 park.
Well, let's say barely more than one.
That's fair. So for those of you that haven't been to Disneyland Paris, so the Disneyland Paris Resort has multiple hotels. So you could kind of hotel hop, which for me is definitely a nice perk of going there. When we visited, we actually drank around the hotels one day, and that ate up at afternoon. I think part of the reason that we needed that extra thing was because you had the Disneyland Park, which is an amazing park, like so much details. Probably it might be my favorite castle, which is hard to say because
it's definitely my favorite.
Is it yours?
It's my favorite castle by far.
Yeah, it's beautiful, and spoiler alert, so skip like 10 seconds, but the best part of it for me is the dragon under the castle.
Yeah, that's such a cool, I guess, unique feature that I didn't expect, because I didn't do a whole lot of research before we went. That was really awesome.
Yeah, but the big ding against it is the Studios Park. So before I dive into like bashing on the Disneyland Paris Studios Park, is that your number 4 as well, or did you have something different?
That is almost solely because of the Disneyland Park over there, and as Sarah's probably going to talk about here in a second, Walt Disney Studios is awful. It's just, and it's in need of a lot of love.
Yes. Yeah, that was one where, so you said like walking to Shanghai feels so big, and so that for you takes away from Disney, but I feel like the Shanghai park still has like Disney details, whereas I feel like if you go in Studios Disneyland, it's just like, where am I? Like, what is happening right now? So they do have like a Tower of Terror, and the Ratatouille area, which is coming to Epcot's really good, but like some of the other parts are just like,
they got Crush.
They do have Crush. Crush was unfortunately closed when we were there, so we didn't get to do that one, but the Studios park there is still leaves a lot to be desired.
Yep.
But yeah, But for me, the main dings against Paris, and maybe why for me it doesn't rank higher in my list, is definitely Studios Park. The other big thing for me that kind of goes against it is the food. So you would think that Disney in Paris, like Paris, France in general, has amazing food, and it was not good. So there weren't great snacks. The meals we did have were pretty expensive, so I would say like it's a pretty expensive.
I think we went during an off season, like down season,
true.
Value season. So all the restaurants weren't open. I have noticed that over there during their value seasons, they close a large number of their quick service places like that. So yeah, we didn't have a ton of options to eat at, but no, I mean the food was okay. It was fine. It was expensive, I think, for what it was. The other thing that surprised me is their Disney Town or their downtown Disney or whatever you call it. That was a little bit of a disappointment as well, but I do have to say the details in Disneyland Park are unbelievable. There's just so much you can just walk around and take in. You mentioned the hotels. I think, what are there, 6, 7, 8 hotels? I can't count them off the top of my head, but there's quite a few, and they're spread out a nice distance where you can walk in between them still, but they're separate. And yeah, we spent a day really enjoying those, and I mean I had a great time. It's also really, really conveniently located relative to if you want to go visit Paris. There's a subway line or a train line right there. And I forget how long it took. It might have been 20 minutes or so on the train, maybe even a little bit longer, but it is a very easy train ride. So you can just hop into the city if you want to explore there, which is always a nice benefit rather than being located further away. That might make, exploring some of the other attractions in the area a little more difficult.
Yeah. No, so we're ranking the full resort aspect. I definitely think all those things definitely come into play. I will say, I think one of my favorite memories was when we drank around the hotels. We had ordered a drink for two, and I didn't know what that meant, or I don't think either of us did, and they brought out, it was like the French version of a fishbowl. So it was like this big.
In a martini glass.
In a martini glass. So if you took a picture of it, it didn't look too bad, but once you held it up, it was massive. So that was really fun. And I think so the castle is awesome. They have the best Thunder Mountain, in my opinion.
Oh, definitely.
So they definitely have some good rides, but a lot of the rides are the same as the U.S. parks, or other Disney parks, I should say.
Space Mountain is not.
That is true.
Space Mountain caught us by surprise.
Yes.
We did not know what it was, and if you haven't ridden it and you don't want to know, you should not listen. But we got in line, and we finally got up to the ride, and we got in, and they put shoulder restraints on us, and we just looked at each other like, well, this is probably something different than our Space Mountain. And so that's a real roller coaster, but that was fun. That was a cool surprise for us.
Yeah. Typically when we visit a park, which is, I feel like, very not Disney's, or at least for me, I'm a no spoilers person, so we'll research where we want to stay and how long we want. We'll usually shoot for too long, or extra days, just because we like to explore all the details, but we try not to. I like having some surprises. Yeah. So that was definitely a good surprise. But I will say a lot of the other rides they do still have some unique stuff, but they are some similar stuff. But the best thing for me is going to be the arcades. They have these things which are, so you have Main Street, which looks pretty normal, but then on the side of Main Street, you have arcades, I guess. So they're like tunnels, basically, that you can walk through. But they are gorgeous. They lead into some of the shops and have some extra Disney details, and they're just such a fun addition. Yeah,
they're just covered walkways that are behind the Main Street shops. So you can kind of enter through the main entrance on Main Street, or if you take these arcades, which are behind the scenes, it kind of takes you in the back door. So it's kind of as if you've been to Disney World for any of the Halloween or Christmas parties, where you go and get the cookies or the candy to start behind Main Street, where you walk in and take a right. Imagine if that were always open and it was a covered walkway with a bunch of details. So that's really what that is.
Yeah, no, that's a perfect example. Yeah, or perfect explanation. But, all right, so anything else for Paris, or you want to move on to number 3?
I think that's good.
All right, so what's your number 3?
Disneyland. It's probably not a popular answer for number 3. I know lots of people like Disneyland, but
I agree.
It is definitely number 3 for me. I do really, really like Disneyland, that park. I think it's awesome. It's the original, has all the charm you want for Disney parks. You walk in, and it's just everything that I want when I visit. But Disney California Adventure is everything I really don't want in a park, honestly. I'm not a huge real thrill rides person, so that Tower of Terror over there, or Guardians now, I don't really care for that. I'll do Incredicoaster, but I don't really like it that much. Radiator Springs is awesome. That is one of my favorite Disney attractions anywhere in the world, but that doesn't outweigh all the negatives that I feel about DCA. But again, Disneyland itself is awesome. I think that park I could just spend all day there every day.
Yeah, I feel like people are going to fight and at you for that, for the DCA. But I get the motion sickness. You don't do Guardians ever. You won't do the Ferris wheel, the fun wheel. So there's a bunch of the swings. So there's a lot of things on there. We do love Lamplight Lounge. So Lamplight Lounge, and I will say Disneyland mine is the same as yours. So but I will say Disneyland, the main pluses for me and why it easily beats Paris is it's the original. So you get major points for Walt actually being there and for him leaving his kind of touches on everything. And so I think just the history of that park makes it so great. We did a Walk in Walt's Footsteps tour, so I'll talk about tours later, but just having the option to learn a little bit of history by taking a Disney tour, that was a definite perk for me, just being able to have that option available. And then the snacks, Disneyland
awesome
snacks
food.
are so good. Yeah. So I think that's a huge thing that definitely helps. And the other big thing for Disneyland over my other two parks, which beat it out, but the ease of walking between the parks and Max Pass, like fast passing between the two parks, is amazing there. So I think that's a huge benefit for them. So it beats out Paris, which also has two parks for me. No problem. But it doesn't beat out my other ones because...
Yeah, I didn't even mention Max Pass, but I think that is like the greatest version of Fast Pass anywhere. To be able to just book it on your phone from anywhere in the parks once you check in it just makes life so much easier over there. I also, the food there is just hands down so much better than anywhere else. I absolutely love eating the snacks, eating just about everywhere when we get there. That I do love that. And I mean, we do get to walk to the park. So we usually stay off property at a Marriott, but I forget the name of the road. It's on the main drag or the main strip over there where all the partner hotels are or good neighbor hotels, whatever they're called. So we only end up walking, what do you think, 5-6 minutes to get to the parks. We just stay there because it's far less expensive than staying at a Disney property. But I'd say it's about the distance of the Disneyland hotel to the park entrance. It's just instead of walking through downtown Disney, you walk on a city street.
Yeah.
But I do really like that aspect. You can walk to both parks. And when you get to the park, you're 50 yards between the two entrances, which is an awesome benefit over there.
Yeah.
And as much as I don't like DCA, it is still way better than Walt Disney Studios. So it's not that bad.
I 100% agree. Yeah. So clear winner over that. Way better food. It has Walt. I would also say, like, we're adults and we go with just the two of us on most of these trips. And so having bars, like they have Trader Sam's there, which is really good. We love Lamplight Lounge. So just being able to grab even a non-alcoholic drink and just sit down and kind of relax in Disney parks. So we enjoy doing the rides and exploring it, but also it's vacation. And so we'll kind of make sure we have enough time to just relax as well. So I think that is a good kind of trade-off there. And their downtown Disney is pretty good.
Yeah.
So, the Paris downtown Disney is horrible,
Yeah.
or leaves some to be desired, I guess. The Disneyland one's pretty good, so not the best, but it's still pretty good.
All right.
What are we?
Number two.
Okay, so this is where I think the Disneyland people will fight me, but I think I'm still right. So number 2 is Tokyo. So Tokyo for me beats out Disneyland for a few reasons. So I'll just say one, and then I'll kind of let you input. But the Disneyness of Tokyo Disney is so good. And what I mean by that is there's amazing Disney details, but over in that park, it's if something isn't right, they like fix it immediately. And everything is just so well kept, and kind of hand in hand with that, the cast members are just amazing. And so everything you think of Disney, I feel like happens in Tokyo. They're just so nice. So cast members everywhere, we've had amazing experiences. Like never, ever, ever saying anything against any of the cast members we've interacted with. We've had amazing experiences everywhere. But Tokyo, I feel like they just go above and beyond. So even though I can't speak Japanese at all, they are the friendliest people. So that to me makes Tokyo my number 2 resort. It's awesome. But I have lots of other reasons, but I'll let you go.
So we disagree.
What?
Yeah, I put Tokyo as number 1.
No.
But that's okay.
Okay.
So I agree with everything you said about what makes it awesome. I
Okay.
also think that Tokyo Disney Sea is the best themed individual park anywhere by a long ways. There's only one other that I think is close, and that's Animal Kingdom, in terms of its theming and just the experience you get when you walk in. So having that is just on its own worth going to Tokyo. I think the fact that you have this amazing monorail system over there that connects almost every hotel, whether it's a Disney property hotel or if you're staying at the Sheraton or the Hilton or some of the other property hotels, you just hop on a monorail and it just keeps going in a continuous circle. And so you get to ride that. It doesn't matter if you're staying at the $800 a night Park View Hotel at the Miracosta, or if you're staying at the cheaper $150, $200 a night Hilton, you have the same access to the parks. It takes just as long to get there, which I think is really awesome. And I do think those two hotels, the Disneyland Hotel and Hotel Miracosta, are two of my favorite Disney hotels, especially Miracosta. I think it's one of the coolest hotels I've ever seen for a Disney park, or really anywhere. It's actually located inside of Tokyo Disney Sea. So if you have one of those rooms, you're located past the park entrance. And so we managed to stay in a room where we had a park view. So we overlooked the volcano, we overlooked the water, and at night you can see the whole, well, I guess any time of the day, but when you're back at your room at night, you look out your window and you just see the closed park, which is such a cool experience. So for me, all the things Sarah said, the theming is unbelievable across both parks. The whole thing is amazing. I really like the Tokyo Disney popcorn and churros, which I think those are even more exciting for you, but they're so cool. They have dozens of different flavors of popcorn and probably an equal number of churro flavors, don't you think?
Yeah, and I will get knocked for this, but the popcorn and churros are better in Tokyo than they are in Disneyland or Disney World or any other
They're better
park.
than anywhere.
Yeah, so I know Disneyland churros get like talked up a lot, and we have started eating Disneyland churros more, but for some reason the Tokyo ones.
I think part of why Tokyos are better is because if you try one and you don't like that flavor, just go 100 feet down the walkway and there's a whole nother cart with a whole new flavor. So maybe you won't find your flavor from Disneyland over there that you like better, but I think the variety offsets possible less quality.
And they have Mickey-shaped ones, and they have a potato churro. So the potato churro is not potato flavored. It's like a double mashed potato.
It's like a double. That's it.
Twice baked potato.
Twice baked potato
situation.
is what I think it's most closely related to.
Yeah. So I definitely think the food there is definitely a perk for me. So that Disneyland snacks are really good. I tend to like different food, and so for me, I get good and different both in Tokyo. They have a coffee float that I love the mochi. I think I'm saying that correctly. But yeah, so the food there I definitely think is a really good aspect of it. The other big thing that I think has Tokyo beat out maybe even Disneyland a little bit is it's far away if you're living in the U.S., but it's still extremely reasonably priced. Disneyland can be very expensive, especially if you want to stay on property. Tokyo Disney, the ticket prices are much more reasonable. You can stay at like the Sheraton, and I think you're getting as good of an experience. Not maybe as good as like Miracosta or Disneyland, but you're still getting a really easy access to the parks, all of that kind of stuff for a very reasonable price. And so I think if you could find a good deal on a flight, my sister was able to go over, her flight from New York was under $500. Yeah. And so if you can get that, sometimes people will spend that much getting to like Orlando or California. Yeah. And so once you get there, it's actually pretty reasonable. So I think that's another like perk of Tokyo.
I mean, I'd also say that they have some of the best rides overall. So Pooh's Honey Hunt is an unbelievably awesome trackless ride in Disneyland. I really, really like Sinbad, which is a dark ride in Tokyo Disney Sea. It's just got an awesome story, and the theming in that is amazing. Journey to the Center of the Earth is just such a fun, I guess, unique and unexpected ride. So the first time you ever ride that, you get off and you don't even know what to think because it's just so different than what you thought it would be. And then you ride it again and you're just like, wow, that is an awesome ride. And you don't even know why it's awesome, honestly. Or at least I don't know why it's awesome. But you get off it every time with a huge smile on your face. So for those reasons, I think it's awesome.
Yeah.
Also, Sarah didn't mention this, but at Splash Mountain in Tokyo, the cast members wipe off the seats every time that a guest gets out before a new guest gets in. And that's one of the things I hate about Splash Mountain in Disney World. Or
any other park.
Yes. So that's an awesome little bonus there too.
Yeah, no, the cast members are honestly really good. Like if somebody spills popcorn, most of the time the guests will pick up the popcorn themselves over there, which is just like a very just different altogether. But the cast members, if not, like will immediately come help clean it up or anything like that. So it's just such a pristine, great experience. And I would say also, like, the resort as a whole, very easy to get around within the resort, very easy to get to Tokyo if you want to, or from the airport. So I think just the ease of that whole park is definitely really, really good. And they do have some great food experiences. So we talked about snacks, but like the afternoon tea there,
Yeah.
is really, really fun. So they have a lot of really kind of great combinations. The thing I think it's missing, which is what knocks it down. Well, I'll explain why I'm right on number one and you're not. But the fireworks there leave a lot to be desired.
You can't even call them fireworks.
They're not. They're bad.
There's like a firework,
That's true.
the quality you shoot off in your backyard.
Yeah, yeah. They do have an amazing nighttime parade. So
Yes.
their parade, I love the one in Hong Kong, the Paint the Night in Hong Kong. But I say of any Disney parade, Tokyo wins with their Dream Lights. Like their Dream Light parade is amazing. So I do agree that they're really good. And then we didn't mention their Downtown Disney. So they call it Ipscari. What do you think of that?
Yeah, I mean, that's fine. We don't do a whole lot of exploring there because it is a lot of shops. But it's there if that's your thing, and that's really nice. But one thing you brought up that I also think as a huge benefit of Tokyo is you talked about parades. And in Tokyo, the first 5, 6, 7, 8, it kind of depends, I think, honestly, on who the cast member in the area is. But the first X number of rows, they all have to sit. So then if you want to stand, you stand behind the people who are sitting. So this way, far more people are able to view these parades. You don't have to show up, half an hour, 45 minutes early if you just are okay standing behind people, but you still have nobody in front of you because those people in front of you are sitting. You also are not permitted to raise things above head level. So you won't have a child on your shoulders. You won't have people with ears that are really tall or holding up cameras above everybody. So it's really designed, I think, to give everybody the best experience that they can hope to have there.
Yeah, no, I completely agree with you. I love parades, so I think over there you'll sometimes maybe run off and take a picture or two. Yeah. But for me, like the parades there are so good. Like I want to watch them as much as I can. And I think the first time I sat for it, and I think where I was, it was 3 people, but I think depending where you go, it can change the depth, like you were saying. But you're like really close to the parade. You're sitting and it's like right there. And so that's kind of a fun experience. Even like the little kids, they would have like sitting on their feet. They're not allowed to like sit on their feet and like on their knees and kind of get a little taller. They're very good about that. I think there's nothing worse than waiting 45 minutes for fireworks and then like losing your view because like a kid goes on the shoulders. I know it stinks because they can't view it, but I think if they just had everyone sit, then everyone could view it. Yep. So I love that aspect. I will say also like the standing, like if you want to take a video or take pictures, like you just stand and take the spot. Well, you just ask a cast member with charades, like, is this where I can stand? Yeah. And they will. And so even though there is language barriers in all the Disney parks, I feel like we've been to, like, we don't speak any language other than English. We'll try with like a konnichiwa or whatever. But honestly, everywhere you can, we've had no problems with kind of enjoying the park, enjoying the stories at the park. And so, so I think Tokyo is a solid number 2 for me, and anyone who wants to argue, I will argue all day. But for me, my number 1, do you have anything else on Tokyo?
No, I think that covers it.
For me, my number 1, though, is Disney World. And so here's why I'd argue that I win. So I think it's fair that you think Tokyo wins. It's a great experience. For me, the fact that Disney World has 4 theme parks, 2 water parks, X number of hotels, an amazing Disney Springs. Do you think Disney Springs is the best in Disney World?
Like versus
of
the other?
Disney towns? Yeah.
By quite a bit, yeah.
Yeah, so for me, it like just has so many things. I think the biggest ding against it is the transportation. So for how hard it is to get between resorts or you have to take Magical Express or Uber to your hotel. So I think that aspect, you can walk between like Epcot and Hollywood, and the Skyliner helps if you don't want to walk. The monorail's there for Epcot and Magic Kingdom, but really you do have to rely on that transportation. So I think that is kind of the biggest ding against it. But I think if you have to pick one Disney location to go to, especially if you don't go to Disney World often, I would say you just can't beat that Disney World has something for everyone. Like, no matter what you want, it's there.
Yeah, I mean, there's also things you didn't mention. There's mini golf. There's regular golf. There's now foot golf, which is like soccer golf. So there are so many things right there, not to mention, and I know this isn't on topic here, but I mean, there's Universal Studios, there's SeaWorld, there's just so much to do right in that general area. Honestly, depending on where you are on property, it probably doesn't take you that much longer to get to Universal than it would to some of the different Disney parks. So I agree with you in terms of Disney World absolutely has the most to do, and it can accommodate anybody no matter what that person wants. There's Polynesian fire dancing at the Polynesian Hotel. So you can do that for dinner. There's s'mores. There's yoga in the morning. There's Run Disney events. So it just goes on and on and on. So I do agree. There is just so much to do there.
Yeah. So I think that the fact, and it is something for everyone in that they have tons and tons and tons of shows to choose from, slow rides, fast rides, and they are doing tons of expanding. So I know it's only going to keep getting better. But the other reason I think Disney World, so just the mass amount of stuff you have to choose from, and everything is that you can choose from is extremely well themed. Yeah. So I think that they just carry through that kind of Disney feeling throughout all of it, which is amazing. Yeah. But as somebody that goes to Disney World frequently, the other reason Disney World just beats out Tokyo and Disneyland for me is the sheer number of festivals and tours. Yeah. So we love doing all of the different tours, be it like an informational tour, learning about like World Showcase or Future World. So they have those in Disney World. They have the African Trek where you'll go and like trek through the Animal Kingdom Safari. They have the Food and Wine Festival, the Art Festival. They have a Not So Scary Halloween party and Christmas party. So I think just you have so much just if the parks were just the parks, but then they have so many of these extras. And so the extras for me that you can do at Disney World make it my number one. So that aspect is a huge factor for upping it.
I think that's very reasonable. Like going to Magic Kingdom is still amazing when you walk in and go down Main Street for that first time or your first time on any trip, seeing that castle. I think that Star Wars Land or Galaxy's Edge in Hollywood Studios is an unbelievably fun place. If you've been in Rise of the Resistance, it's awesome. Smuggler's Run is fun. I mean, we love Slinky Dog and Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway. And I think, honestly, that Animal Kingdom is my second favorite park in the world. I mean, the theming of that is just so amazing. The theming is almost as good as Tokyo Disney Sea. It's just, you walk in there and it's not like anything else. It doesn't feel like you're in a theme park. So you can go do that. And honestly, I could just walk around Animal Kingdom, for hours, not really doing much of anything with the animal trails and all the details you can take in. And I mean, World Showcase in Epcot with all the festivals is a ton of fun too. So I totally agree with you. There is no Disney resort in the world compares to Disney World in terms of just the amount of stuff you can do and the likelihood that you'll be able to find something that makes you happy on your vacation. So I can get that. That is very reasonable, I think.
And I get your point in Tokyo being number one in that it's the most Disney feeling. So like Tokyo to me does feel like just that extra Disney magic that I feel like sometimes you can get in Disney World, but Disney World's so busy all the time and the details are all there. But I understand that. But for me, the number one is still Disney World. And we'll have to see if people comment and want to hear us rank all the individual parks. If you want this times like lots more, we can go through and rank like the individual parks as well. But for me, the 4 theme parks, all of the hotels, we love exploring the hotels at Disney World. And there's 2 water parks, which are pretty good water parks. We're not huge water park people, but we have gone to those and they can be a ton of fun, especially if you like water parks. So for me, Disney World is my number one. You're sticking with Tokyo as your number one?
I'm still sticking with Tokyo, yeah.
That's fair.
I'm sticking with it, so.
Yeah, so anything else you want to add? Or?
No, thanks for following along.
Yeah, so if you guys can, just keep following along. I think we're going to do a couple of these and keep the series going. If you have any suggestions of stuff you want us to talk about, like how we plan things or how we do stuff, leave a comment below. We'll happily kind of look them through and try to put a bunch of these together if you all seem to be interested. But thanks again. This was fun.
Thank you so much, guys. Bye.